Oh, this is Frank Johnny's box. Oh. When he dies, I'm going to put him in this.
Don Rickles left Johnny Carson completely speechless on The Tonight Show. For over 30 years, Carson ruled late-night television as the undisputed king, famous for his quick wit and unshakable composure. But there was one guest who could consistently catch him off guard: the legendary insult comic Don Rickles, whom Carson himself affectionately nicknamed Mr. Warmth. And today, we are looking at the top 9 times when Rickles left Carson absolutely speechless. So make sure that you watch the video till the end. Number 1, the Mr. Warmth. Introduction.
Would you welcome this year's poster child for rabies, Don Rickles?
Carson gave Rickles one of the most ironic nicknames in show business history, and that's where all their legendary encounters began.
Do I need straps? Okay, look at your notes and let's get it over with.
Who needs notes?
Oh, it's good to see you, John. Really, it really
we have not seen each other.
And we haven't
for at least 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, it really has. So, my career has been, but it's nice to see you again.
During a broadcast in the 70s, Carson opened a segment by introducing his guest with the words, Mr. Warmth, Don Rickles. And the audience immediately understood the joke because Rickles was anything but warm. This was the man who insulted everyone in sight.
Just sit up in Bel Air and say, "It's your serve, Harold." We people have to work, you understand? That's why I'm on this, for the $350 to cover the new room we're going to put on the house.
$320.
$320. It's $350 for me, otherwise I leave.
The moment Rickles sat down after that introduction, he immediately quipped, "I'm going to get frog fungus." Carson, trying to keep up with the rapid-fire comedy, shot back with, "Never seen a Jewish lion tamer, do you?" Which was a clever attempt to match Rickles' energy. But what happened next showed exactly why Rickles operated in a league of his own. Without missing a beat, Rickles fired back, "Never. You never hear Lou Lipschitz in a cage with a tiger." The audience roared with laughter while Carson sat there, momentarily stunned. That was one of those rare instances where Carson's usually lightning-fast wit couldn't quite keep pace, and the exchange demonstrated something important. Even though Carson had given Rickles the perfect nickname, he sometimes couldn't anticipate what would come next. Rickles later said that the Mr. Warmth nickname was the best one was Johnny Carson. He called me Mr. Warmth, and it became a defining element of his persona. Carson's willingness to play along with Rickles' abrasive style created television magic, but it also meant Carson was sometimes left scrambling for a response. Number 2, the cigarette box incident. December 13th, 1976 brought the most legendary moment between Carson and Rickles that ever aired on television. Bob Newhart was guest hosting that night, and Rickles was doing his monologue when disaster struck. He accidentally broke Johnny Carson's cherished wooden cigarette box.
Hey, you're not gonna have to land. There's no good. This is now your land. You take. Oh, Carson's cigarette box. Oh, I broke his box. I broke Carson's cigarette box.
This wasn't just any cigarette box. Carson kept this personal item on set and was extremely protective of it. So when he found out what had happened, he did something completely unprecedented.
You know how long I've had the cigarette box on his desk?
You brought that up from New York City?
I brought this from New York. What on earth?
It happened last night.
Who?
Don Rickles.
I did not see the
Don
show
Rickles
last
did it last night.
Storming into the adjacent set where Rickles was performing, Carson yelled, "Stop the taping! Someone broke my cigarette box!" And the audience was shocked because they'd never seen Carson lose his composure like this.
I just started the show. I picked my box up off my desk that I've had for 9 years. My box is broken.
Rickles, usually the one dishing out the barbs, suddenly found himself on the defensive, nervously stammering, "Well, He tried to come up with some explanation for what had happened, but Carson wasn't having it. Looking directly at Rickles, Carson shouted, "You big dummy!" And the anger in his voice was palpable, creating one of those rare moments when it was Carson who had left Rickles speechless, rather than the other way around.
They told me you broke it on the show last night.
Well, I really...
You big dummy.
What made this moment even more remarkable was that Carson was genuinely upset. The incident briefly left Carson speechless with anger, a complete reversal of their usual dynamic. Rickles tried to make light of the situation later, even pretending to worship the box on a subsequent show, and he joked to co-star Carol O'Connor, "When Carson passes, I'm going to put him in this box." The cigarette box incident became one of the most talked about moments in Tonight Show history precisely because it showed Carson losing his cool. Watching the king of late night reach his limits proved that even the most unflappable host had a breaking point. Number 3. The Ed McMahon Engagement Roast. January 6, 1976 brought an episode where Rickles appeared on The Tonight Show and decided to target someone other than Carson, his faithful sidekick, Ed McMahon. Ed had recently gotten engaged to a younger fiancée, and Rickles saw an opportunity he couldn't resist.
Did you get engaged, Ed?
Yes, I did.
Sorry. Anyway, did you see the girl you got engaged to?
Certainly have.
Oh, God. It's like the front of a bad bus. No, man, she's a pretty girl.
With Carson sitting right there, Rickles brazenly taunted Ed about his engagement, quipping that Ed was soon to be unemployed after the wedding, and the implication was clear. Carson and Ed laughed, but there was an uncomfortable quality to their laughter, and you could see Carson trying to figure out where this was going and whether he should intervene.
You gotta be alone on the highway, searching, wandering. If you don't get Bambi, you get hurt. No, I'm kidding, man. You're a big fella. You can handle it. Anyway,
What left Carson momentarily speechless wasn't just the joke itself. It was the audacity of Rickles going after Ed so directly on Carson's own show. Ed McMahon was more than just Carson's sidekick because he was his partner and friend. So watching Rickles tear into Ed while sitting just a few feet away put Carson in an awkward position where he had to decide whether to defend Ed, pile on, or try to change the subject.
I just can't picture you on the wedding night on top of the furniture. Over here, hon!
Look, when all you
Hey, you can go to heck, folks. We're gonna laugh. We saw the girl. When she takes off the girdle, I love that.
Carson simply sat there for a few seconds, processing what had just happened. His face showed a mixture of amusement and mild shock, and that was another example of how Rickles could catch even the most prepared host off guard by simply being willing to say what others wouldn't. Number 4. The Frank Sinatra Surprise. November 12th, 1976 brought one of the most unexpected moments in Tonight Show history when Frank Sinatra was guest hosting that night. Sinatra was in the middle of interviewing someone when Don Rickles suddenly walked on stage completely unannounced, and nobody had planned for this. Rickles simply decided to crash the interview. Rickles immediately began ribbing both Sinatra and Carson, and the audience didn't know whether to laugh or gasp because, after all, this was Frank Sinatra, one of the most powerful figures in entertainment. Rickles was treating him like any other target, and Carson, who was sitting there as a guest on his own show, found himself completely blindsided with no prepared material for this situation and no comeback ready.
He was even nervous because he came to me and said, and I said, you are a powerhouse, and Frank, I love you.
For those few moments, Carson was genuinely at a loss for words, watching as Rickles crowded Sinatra's interview and took over the segment. Rickles teased both men relentlessly, and at one point, Sinatra jokingly had to ask Carson, "Can I tell a story?" because the unscripted interruption had thrown the entire show off its normal rhythm. Carson, who prided himself on maintaining control, was left without his usual quick response. This moment demonstrated something about Rickles' comedy that set him apart. He didn't just rely on prepared material, but created chaos in real time. And even someone as experienced as Johnny Carson couldn't always anticipate what he'd do next. Number 5, the Jewish Lion. Tamer exchange. Earlier, we mentioned the exchange about Jewish lion tamers, but it deserves a deeper look because it perfectly encapsulates why Rickles could leave Carson speechless. When Carson made his joke about never seeing a Jewish lion tamer, he probably thought he was being clever, turning Rickles' own style back on him. Rickles' response about Lou Lipschitz in a cage with a tiger was so quick, so perfectly timed, and so absurdly funny that it caught Carson completely off guard. Carson's expression shifted from confidence to surprise to genuine appreciation for the comeback, and you could see him realize he'd been outmaneuvered at his own game. What made Carson pause wasn't just the joke itself. It was the realization that Rickles operated on a different level. Carson was brilliant at prepared wit and clever responses, but Rickles specialized in spontaneous verbal combat, and the brief moment where Carson sat there, speechless, was him acknowledging that he'd met his match. Rickles later said on multiple occasions that other comedians would say things like, "Jews don't work zoos," demonstrating his comfort with pushing boundaries that others wouldn't approach. Carson understood this was Rickles' territory, and sometimes the best response was simply to let the audience enjoy the moment. Number 6, the 10th anniversary appearance.
My next guest comes directly. We're a little out of order tonight because he is taping his special and he has to come over here and then he has to leave. All I can say about Don Rickles is that I've always felt that it was a shame that Martin Bormann didn't live to see his firstborn. Would you welcome, please, Mr. Don Rickles?
October 2nd, 1972 marked Johnny Carson's 10th anniversary hosting The Tonight Show. This was a special broadcast, and naturally, Don Rickles was invited to participate. But this was Carson's night to celebrate his incredible achievement, and Rickles had other plans. Rather than offering the typical congratulations and well wishes that other guests provided, Rickles showed up and immediately began roasting Carson about the milestone. Coming onto someone's anniversary special and insulting them was pure Rickles, and the sheer audacity of it left Carson momentarily stunned.
I'm working, and I had no idea there was going to be a wedding tonight or something. And I'm working over at the other network, and I couldn't get dressed up for this cockamamie affair here. But it's a great night. The president, Don Durgan, is that his name?
Durgan.
Don Durgan. Who cares?
Carson had prepared for a celebratory evening, expecting tributes and kind words from his friends. But instead, Rickles delivered his signature brand of comedy and treated the anniversary like any other night. The disconnect between what Carson expected and what he got created one of those brief, beautiful moments of genuine surprise on his face. You could see Carson thinking, of course Rickles would do this, so why did I expect anything different? That realization that even on his special night, he wasn't safe from Rickles was both frustrating and hilarious, and it left him briefly at a loss for the perfect comeback. Number 7, the racially charged joke. In a 1976 episode, Rickles crossed a line that even by the standards of 70s television was shocking. Directing a charged joke at a black performer on set, he told him, "I hope you kept that cotton mill down south. You're out of work come January." And the reaction was immediate and uncomfortable. The audience went silent. Other guests looked mortified. And Carson, Johnny Carson, who had handled thousands of unexpected moments, sat there visibly troubled and briefly speechless. After a few seconds that felt like an eternity, Carson finally responded, "I want something back." And his tone made it clear he was genuinely upset, not playing along with the joke. The show quickly cut to commercial, giving everyone a chance to regroup. This moment left Carson speechless for different reasons than the others, because it wasn't Rickles' cleverness or perfect timing. It was the shock of going too far. Even Carson, who defended Rickles as a comedic genius and understood his style, recognized when a boundary had been crossed. What's remarkable is that their friendship survived this incident. Carson understood that Rickles' comedy came from a different era and a different approach to humor, but he also made it clear that there were limits, even for someone with Rickles' reputation. Number 8. The Bob Hope episode. May 21st, 1974 brought together three comedy legends when Johnny Carson, Bob Hope, and Don Rickles all appeared on the same night. Having both Hope and Rickles on the same night should have been Carson's dream lineup. Two of the biggest names in comedy appearing together on his show. Rickles being Rickles, he didn't treat this as a special occasion. Going after both Carson and Hope with equal enthusiasm, he created a chaotic energy that even Carson struggled to manage. And trying to referee between these two comedy titans, while also being a target himself, left Carson momentarily overwhelmed. There were instances during that episode where Carson simply stopped talking and let Rickles and Hope bounce off each other. This wasn't because he couldn't think of anything to say, it was because anything he said would just add to the chaos. And sometimes the best strategy when Rickles was on a roll was to step back and let it happen. The speechlessness in this case was strategic, but it was also genuine. Carson recognized that the comedy was working perfectly without his intervention, and trying to insert himself might actually diminish the moment, which took a special kind of wisdom to understand. Knowing when to speak and when to simply let Rickles do his thing. Number 9. The Carroll O'Connor reference. After the cigarette box incident, Rickles appeared on another show with Carroll O'Connor and made reference to the broken box, joking that when Carson eventually passes away, he'd put him inside the cigarette box. Rickles delivered a dark joke that was vintage Rickles.
Down, 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 down. Oh, this is Frank Johnny's box. Oh. When he dies, I'm going to put him in this.
When Carson heard about this comment later, he was reportedly left speechless once again. The idea that Rickles was still milking the cigarette box incident on other shows, and doing so with such a morbid twist, was both outrageous and somehow perfect. This moment illustrates how Rickles could leave Carson speechless, even when Carson wasn't in the room. The joke made its way back to Carson, and according to those who were there, his reaction was a mixture of disbelief and grudging admiration, because only Rickles would turn Carson's anger over a broken box into material for other shows. The relationship between these two men was built on mutual respect and understanding. Carson knew that Rickles was going to push boundaries, and Rickles knew that Carson could handle almost anything thrown at him. But every so often, Rickles would land a punch that even Carson didn't see coming. Johnny Carson and Don Rickles created television magic precisely because of moments like these. Moments where even the unflappable king of late night found himself at a loss for words. Over 100 appearances spanning 2 decades, Rickles proved time and again that he was the one guest who could consistently catch Carson off guard. Rickles acknowledged that Carson was a great help to me, and he credited Johnny with the Mr. Warmth nickname that defined his career. Carson, for his part, embraced Rickles' persona and defended him as a comedic genius, even when the insults hit close to home. Both men have now passed. Carson in January 2005 and Rickles in April 2017 at age 90. Their legacy lives on through these archived episodes, many available through the Internet Archive and various retrospectives and documentaries that continue to celebrate these historic Tonight Show moments.